Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's AYCG Moviecast, episode 437. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gass, joined by Mike Sneedy.
What's up?
Corey Feinsod.
Hey. And
Tony Korkanakis.
Yo.
Doing this live. Mike, you're a little low. Anyways, welcome, listeners. Welcome, viewers, to 437 of the Moviecast. This is pre-Endgame, but post Captain Marvel. So we're going to be doing our spoiler cast for Captain Marvel following these. We'll be doing the game. We'll have 3 podcasts this week. If you're listening to this one first, you get 2 more. So wait, what happened to Mike? He just left.
Yeah, he might be restarting or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So Mike will be joining us shortly. But yeah, let's. Maybe he just got offended when I mentioned Captain Marvel.
He'll never hear that either because he doesn't.
I know. I really shouldn't do that, but sometimes I can't help myself. All right.
So many people offended by that.
There was a guy, Captain Marvel, for those wondering, #1 at the box office. It was 153.4 million. So we all undercut this movie.
Yep. Some more than others, like myself.
Some more than others. And man, there was a guy though on Reddit, in the box office Reddit, that predicted this like 6 months ago. It was doing 153. He called. And he nailed it. Now he's got 268 for Endgame.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
I saw that and I'm like, I got to get this into the conversation. Like he hit 153 on the nose. He's got a couple of big ones. The only thing I don't disagree, he's got Frozen 2 at 111, which I think is too low.
See, I was gonna think of that, but exactly after Lego Movie 2, and just how like we talked about, what was the other sequel?
Incredibles
and Incredible, yeah, like just like the sequel being taking too long. Like I think Frozen's gonna do well, but I don't know if it's gonna do like out of the gate like gangbusters. It's questionable to me.
Here's the thing: like, would you say it's gonna do less than its opening for the first movie? I don't see it. I just don't see it.
What was that again?
What did it open at?
Yeah,
I think it was 120, but I'm not sure. I can look it up while we're talking, but yeah, I'm trying to bring it up on my phone because my laptop doesn't like me to do. But
opening was 200. 243.
No, that was
wide opening weekend.
Okay, 67. Oh, okay, so it'll do more. That's more then. He's not out of the ballpark.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So yeah, I mean, Captain Marvel, man. Let's go back to Captain Marvel. 153.4 opening weekend. It's the
6th highest.
6th highest, yeah, I was gonna say 6th highest. It's actually broken 500 million worldwide as of today. This is without Tuesday's numbers though, so it'll be higher. Oh wait, no, it's with today, I think, projection.
Yeah, it's going over 500.
It's going over 500.
It's already over 500.
Yeah, so it's it looks like they're projecting to about 71 million second week, which would be 55%. The normal drop. That's a normal drop. We'll see what kind of hold it has, but big opening for it. 3 of us saw it. We'll be doing, like I said, the spoiler cast for it.
It's weird that it did that well.
Well, I mean, I think it's got the lull. As we said, Tony, you and I were talking about that lull last podcast, and that we just underestimated the lull.
Yeah. I saw it Thursday night, and there were so many showings, and the theater was like packed. I couldn't believe it. Like I was just like, damn, really? Like, okay, like that's when I knew. Like I
sold out on my Thursday show as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Sorry, I'm getting as we have this. This is a gaming podcast, but as we're having this podcast, I have just received news that Odell Beckham Jr. has been traded to the Browns. Sorry, football player, guys.
Wow.
It just came across my phone, and that's kind of why, as we're talking, I'm like, this is. As I started the intro, it came across. I was like, let me keep going with this. So, anyways, back to Captain Marvel.
It did 11 million yesterday too, which is
it did 11 million.
Really good.
Yeah, it's. I think it could have a better hold. I really do. Don't underestimate.
There's nothing to threaten the box office for a little while.
That's what I mean. I really think this will have a better hold. I think it could do 80, 90 million on the second week.
Yeah, it could. I mean, good word of mouth.
Yeah, and it's a good movie. As we'll have a spoiler cast, but just give you guys our thoughts. We can go into this real quick, and then we can move on to the box office and other news. But I saw it on Saturday. The theater was full. to the point where I had to do some shenanigans with my tickets because my brother backed out on seeing it, and his friend backed out, so I had to and Fandango doesn't allow you to return one seat. You have to return all of your tickets.
What? That's dumb.
Oh, I was so pissed. I waited on hold for an hour to talk to them.
That's not worth your time.
No, and then the woman's like, "There's nothing I can do to help you." I'm like, okay. She's like, "Do you mind if I send you a survey?" I'm like, "Yes, send that fucking survey."
Send me that fucking survey.
Yeah, I was pissed. So I went to the movies and I went up to the counter. I cut everybody thanks to the A-list thing. There was like a line of like 60 people and they had nobody in that line. So I'm like, this is me. So I walked in and I walked past everybody all looking at me. And the guy's like next. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, it's you. I'm like, okay.
It's like, oh, geez.
It's just been like A-lister here, A-lister here.
He's like, well, that's the one guy said it to me once at the movie when the line for the snacks were so long. He said that he called me up and I'm like, are you sure? He's like, dude, you paid for it. They didn't. So I'm like, okay.
You know what's been crazy? The last 2 times I've been to the theater, I've gone into the regular one because the A-list line has been longer.
This was so packed in the regular line. It was like 60 people. I don't know what the hell was going on. I don't know what happened. We must have gone back to 1990, the 90s. We must have gone back to 1995 because I went into the theater and there was a payphone that was working. It was a working payphone.
Oh, you picked it up and checked?
Yeah, it's got a dial tone and it was an actual working payphone in the theater.
By Captain Marvel.
And I'm not sure that was put in place there for that because I don't think it was. It's just always been there. And then there were 60 people online.
You should have called Collect, dude.
Yeah, I should have. There was 60 people online to buy their tickets. Like, who does that anymore?
I mean, no, it's you got a lot of non-regular moviegoers, I guess, to go see this movie.
When I saw, not to that effect, but there was definitely people waiting in line to purchase tickets, and I'm just like, here's my phone. I'm just walking through, like, fuck you guys.
Wow.
I also in the 21st century. Get with it.
So then the other thing I ran into was I went in to go to the bathroom, and the guy that showed up for his ticket came in after I went in because I had somebody else show up to get the third ticket for me. And I wasn't there, and he went to use. I gave my girlfriend the ticket to give to him, and it happened to be my A-list ticket, so it had my name on it. I didn't even realize that, so they wouldn't allow him in the theater. So I'm like, I was at the concessions, and they're calling me on my phone as I'm trying to use my phone to pay for things. So I'm like, what? And I had to go all the way back to the ticket area, show the guy my ID, and the guy's okay. Well, he has to take your ticket, and you take yours. I'm like, are you really? I mean, I'm right here. So I had to grab my ticket and he had to rip that one. I had to give him mine. I was like, this is stupid.
I would have stared at that dude so hard while he did it. Like,
I was like, this is stupid. That was stupid. I understand like checking it because it's like I get that point. But when you see me there and I already have another ticket, I mean, come on. Yeah. Anyways. So yeah, so
tickets anymore. Jesus.
I don't know. Corey, when did you see it? You saw Thursday as well? All right. So yeah, I mean, just a spoiler free rundown here. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I would say Wonder Woman was a better movie if I'm going to compare the two because I'm going to.
Really?
Yes, yeah, and I will get into that.
I got a big disagree with you, dog.
I will get into that more on the spoiler cast, but I will not talk about it here because it's major spoiler points for the movie. But I had one issue that I just was like, it got into my head in the beginning of the movie and it never left, and it just bothered me the whole movie. I'd probably give this a 7.5 out of 10. I believe I gave Wonder Woman an 8.5, if I remember right. So I mean,
you were high on Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I enjoyed them more. I think this was the action in this movie was fantastic. For those wondering, it's excellent action sequences. I do really I like the story. I am wondering where it's going with things, but we'll see. Good stuff in it. I loved the Marvel intro to the movie, by the way. It almost put me in tears, not expecting that.
Yeah. Our whole theater stood up and clapped.
I bet.
Yeah, it's an innovation for the opening. I was like, holy crap.
Just for the logo.
Just for the opening. I think people not everybody, but a couple people were standing up and clapping.
Yeah.
So everybody just started clapping, and it was really cool moment.
And I hope they keep it.
And this one guy
forever.
goes, "Thank you, Stan Lee." And it's like, wow, this is awesome.
I hope they keep that forever in the theater because they just changed that to a new intro, remember? And so I'm hope they just leave it like this for a long time. So
I'm assuming the rest of the year.
But yes, Corey, what'd you think?
I'm right there with you, Jim, as far as score goes. I think that it's definitely one of the weaker Marvel movies, in my opinion.
I slotted it in. Somebody posted all the movies, and I slotted in at 10th or 11th, right there.
I think
Above Doctor Strange.
I wasn't very high on Black Panther, as you guys know, either, and I think it's right around that same.
Yes, I put it above below Black Panther, above Doctor Strange.
But I think there was a really great fight sequence, but a lot of the action was too dark and like the camera was just all over the place. I felt it was like very poorly edited action. Yeah. And the story was so cookie cutter. Like I was like, really? Like there's nothing like that's going to be really surprising. It's the same tropes that Marvel's done over and over again. I really wanted something new and different
fresh
in this movie. And I might have just like overhyped myself a little bit because Sonia going into it, my wife, when they had no idea, she didn't even want to see it really. She's like, I don't care about this movie, whatever. And then she saw it, she loved it. She said it was like one of the best Marvel movies she's seen. So she said it was like 9 or 10 in her book.
Nice. That's cool.
So she loved the character, loved everything about it. I think, guys, the story was just so bland. That's the biggest thing I have.
I mean, movie. So I'll just say, like, I'm right around the same score, 7.58 if I'm being generous. Like, it was good, maybe slightly above average. Personally, you know, out of the Origins movies, I mean, it's probably better than the Phase 1 Origins.
It was better than Phase 1.
They tried to hide the origin story aspect of it, and I wish they kind of were more. Just give me like a more traditional origin.
They tried to do a little bit of that, like, you know, like, moving backwards with the memories and stuff like that. But you know, whatever. I mean, the thing is, like, with the origin movie, like, I don't know, is in my opinion, it's really hard to do those and be exciting because I don't think you can really be that far out there and creative without losing that audience. To me, I'm more so. I'll say I think the movie started off a little too slow with just like the setting up, but once it hit like that last third act, and this is why I'll argue with that Jim on the spoiler cast. The finale act was much better than Wonder Woman's, in my opinion.
No, I mean,
it was exciting. I was like, more.
The third act is really good.
Yeah, it's like
obviously when you see the scenes from the trailer with her like flying in space shooting.
Exactly,
it's very satisfying.
Right, and that's where I think it succeeds in leading up into Avengers Endgame, because that's where I want to see now. Like, I am just like, I cannot wait for her to show up now and fuck around with Thanos. Like, I want to see that happen. So in that regards, it succeeded. As an origin movie, yeah, you know, above average, slightly above average, but definitely worth watching. Absolutely. If nothing, just for, you know, obviously the representation, stuff like that. And I like Captain Marvel as a character.
And it's like a playlist of our childhood.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like,
sure.
A playlist of the childhood and just so many awesome 90s.
Hits,
so they did. I mean, they also. I mean, all the music in that is nothing past 1995 in that movie, and that's when the movie. And then they line things up with time of it. The time of the movie, like there's every song they play in 1995 is from 1995. It's pretty impressive, actually. I was looking back, I'm like, wait, is this from that time? I swear that was like 2000. I'm like, nope, 1995. So it's they did pretty good with that. And the de-aging, fantastic.
It's almost Bizarro World now, where I'm just like, I've seen Sam Jackson for so many years, and he looks so young. I'm just like,
well, the problem for me that took me out of the movie a little bit, and I don't think this is a spoiler or anything, but because he looks like he's so young, but he still moves like he's a 60-year-old man.
I'm like, dude, I knew you would run better than that. You know, whatever.
So I thought that was kind of funny. It's like, he still moves like he's in the 60s, but
yeah. So that's number one in the box office this week. Let me open up the Tomatoes again. What was Rotten Tomatoes at? Shoot,
so it's hitting $1 billion now. I mean,
it is. There's no question about that. It's a matter of how good the holds are to where it can get to. Number 2 in the theaters was How to Train Your Dragon 3. Tyler Perry's was number 3. Lego Movie 2 and Alita were your top 5. Nothing really, like I said, opening this week. So when does that? That's the end of the month. Is Captive State opens this week, but it's not really that big of a movie. And also, the end of the month is the Get Out directors, right?
Yeah,
Jordan Peele's. Yeah, us. Yeah. So that's the end of the month. But so this is a little while in the theaters. See how good it does.
It's so funny. Some of the incels on YouTube have just been going nuts. I saw this one headline today where it's like, "Oh, Disney's cooking the box office books." I'm just like, really, bro? Like, okay, man, like there you go. You spent the last like 2 months shit talking this movie. It's like, all right, just success makes these people like freak the fuck out.
It's there's also there's a Twitter storm on like sexism in this thing, like the sexist people out there.
Brie Larson did a job on.
She said something that everyone took it and misconstrued it to mean something else, and then everyone's like, yes, sexism, reverse sexism, let's go with it. And
I think it's obviously been way blown out of proportion.
No, it's not even blown out of proportion, it's misunderstood. She didn't say that at all.
And then it's funny because because Captain Marvel is successful, now they're trying to spin the narrative. They're like, oh, well, we got to prop up Shazam now, the real Captain Marvel. To the fact that, what's his name? Levi or
Zachary Levi, yeah.
Yeah, Zachary Levi. Actually came out on one of the social medias like, guys, don't do this. Like, you're not helping anybody. He's like, if you're doing it for our movie's sake, like, you're not helping. If you're doing it to tear them down, like, who are you helping? Just, like, don't do this. Be better. It's like...
Yeah. So... All right, that's your box office. Let's get into some news, which I haven't even opened yet. I'm just all out of sorts right now.
Odell Beckham, man, fucked you up.
Yeah. I had it open. Okay, so we have. I'm gonna lead it off with DC. Shazam's early. We're just talking about Shazam. Early reactions to this movie are it's actually a lot of fun. It seems maybe they've found found out how to make a movie.
It's like not everything has to be super dark and gritty.
You get Zack Snyder off of it, and look at things happen.
What's the opposite of the Midas touch? Like, isn't
Snyder touch?
The shit touch. Everything turns to shit when you touch it.
So we'll call it Snydered.
The Snyder touch.
Yeah, he's Corey. I'm just gonna tie this in real quick because we're talking about Snyder. He's got a director's cut of Sucker Punch out there. He wants to release. He says it's better than the original cut of the movie, and because it makes more sense.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope. One of the worst movies we've ever seen.
Corey, thank you for saying that, because you better hope Persona 5 does not come out on Switch, because
it's gonna come out. We know it's coming. It's just a matter of if it come out after 2020 or before 2020.
I think it's coming this year.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. If it comes this year, then, if it comes out next year,
it's coming this year. So I don't have any interest in this. Sucker Punch from Zack Snyder. I don't want to be Sucker Punch from him. But yeah, so we have Shazam's getting very good reactions early on. I'm actually excited to see it. It's a different movie than what you see with the Marvel stuff. I'm sure we're gonna get a fun movie with Endgame, but that's gonna be a big movie. Like,
wait, you think Endgame's gonna be fun?
Sure. It's going to have a lot of great action sequences.
Well, no. Okay, that like enjoyable. When you say like fun, I'm like, oh, it's lighthearted and like chuckles. And, feel good kind of thing. I just expect most of Endgame to be like, ooh, these heroes, some of them coming back.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to get probably, but we got to make a prediction of who goes. By the way, we still have to do that. We got to we might do a couple topics up to so we might start that very soon. Look for that. But so the other DC news I have is Ben Affleck came on record saying he still would like to direct the DC movie. He's still open to it, despite the fact that he didn't.
Yeah. He basically, the money is there, sure, but
well, he said he would love to work on a superhero project with them, and more for directing. He said because it doesn't see himself coming back as Batman because that wouldn't make any sense. But he even said in this interview, he said that they just couldn't find anything that worked as a script for Batman, and that's kind of why he dropped out. He was writing, by the way.
So I'm sorry, if you can't find a way to make a script out of Batman, who has one of like the largest storyline collections of all time in the comic book industry, sure. I got to call bullshit on that. Like, there's so much you can do there. Like, not even that's just if you want to pull from comics. I mean, you could do the twist with anything from.
Personally, obviously, I'm a Ben Affleck fan, so I'm gonna support him a little bit here. But I think more likely is that he had a story he wanted to tell, and DC was like, or Warner Bros. And DC was like, we want you to put this into this DC universe thing, and he's like, that shit just got all fucked up, and now it's like, well, everything's fucked up now, so this other guy will make his own movie.
Well, we talked about it before. Warner Brothers loves the metal, despite them owning all their properties and shit. They love the metal. I mean, they forced out Justice League. Just like you know, just like, nope, we need to make our bonuses and shit like that. It's like, this movie needs more time in the oven, guys. Like, what are you doing? But you know,
yeah. So I don't know.
I don't see him coming back though. I mean,
I don't see him coming back.
I know he said that publicly, but I think there's bad blood between them now because A, like they negged on that that deal, and then B, like, I mean, Ben Affleck, no offense, is like a mess right now, so I don't see Warner Brothers going out on a limb to be like, "Hey, Ben, come back, buddy, direct this movie," even though we fired you.
He's got a big movie coming out soon, I think, though, too.
On Netflix, he has a movie coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why I guess I've seen it because Netflix advertises like mad.
Oh, sure, definitely.
I mean, now you got James Gunn. You don't need Ben Affleck.
That's exactly James Gunn, and that's this next bit of news. We got James Gunn recruiting Batista apparently.
We called it. We called it. That was an obvious gimme.
And Idris Elba apparently is on tap. Possible. It's not confirmed yet, but he'll be replacing Will Smith as Deadshot. Do we want Idris Elba?
I mean, you got to replace him with somebody.
Yeah, we can have him be not Deadshot. How
about that? Green Lantern.
I mean, John Stewart.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, I could see.
Well,
perfect John Stewart.
The initial leaks of the script is heavily focused on Deadshot, so you can't not have Deadshot in the movie. Then
you could just replace. I mean, what is Deadshot? Who cares about Deadshot? If you're going to change the actor, then
that's what I'm saying. Like
the character.
Why are you going like out of your way to prop up Deadshot as like, hey, we need to like make sure this is a tentpole character for our movie
story that he wants to tell?
Deadshot. It's like that fucking rope guy. What the fuck is his name?
Hangman? I don't know.
Hangman. That's perfect.
Slipknot. That's what it was.
Slipknot. That's right.
Oh my god, I forgot he was in that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't agree. I think they should just use a different character and replace Deadshot with don't recast Will Smith.
Just say like he died on his way back home. Like, okay,
I'm not even say that. He's just somewhere else.
Like, just leave him out. If they replace him, it's like I have to say I don't care. If you want to replace him, replace him. Whatever.
I'd say leave him out, but
no, I think that that he was too Will Smith in the first one, and if you're going to try to make it like a sequel and then change the actor, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that
things. It's called The Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it's a soft reboot. It's supposed to be. So,
but just like the universe,
but they insist on having the same character, even if the actor is different.
The Justice League.
Yes, the
Man of Steel.
John Rambo.
I think that I don't know.
The Batman v Superman.
The Batman
v Superman.
Yeah. So what else we got here? We got. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. What else we got? We got Netflix news, anime programming. They're bringing a whole bunch of new stuff, aren't they? What was the
Dragon's Dogma was one of the big ones.
That was the one I saw. Yeah, so it was Dragon's Dogma. They're doing an Altered Carbon anime.
Yep. Oh, I thought we talked about the last time we talked about.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that at some point.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I actually liked. I've watched some Netflix recently, so it's cool to see that they're bringing out some anime because I think Hulu's done a pretty good job bringing over.
Netflix has gotten a lot more though.
Netflix has done like original content well. I like how Hulu has brought us the overseas anime faster. Like Crunchyroll has done. Crunchyroll big for a while. I think Hulu's done great with it. So I'm happy to see more series come either come over here or be created on Netflix. I mean that's better content for us all. I mean so that's good. So see what they get from it, how good the quality is. We're gonna get Devil May Cry, right?
Devil May Cry, more Castlevania.
More Castlevania, more Devil May Cry from them, from the same guy. It's gonna be awesome. So
Pacific, I think. Did they say Pacific Rim? Or am I thinking something else?
I thought they were doing a Pacific Rim one. That's the one I was thinking of earlier.
Okay.
That sounds right because I thought that's the one I was thinking of when I said there's another anime. But yeah. So that's cool. All right, you know what we skipped is what else we've been up to.
Wait.
What?
Netflix anime. So that would like maybe get you to continue subscription, Jim? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I was right. I mean, you were right. I was wrong. That's fine.
No, sorry. I just got to bring it up for a little while. You just made such a big deal. Like, I'm canceling. I was like, dude, all right, that's fine. Like, an hour-long conversation. I was like, Jim, you like, I can't control you. Like, I can't, that's fine. Like, you can do what you want. Next week, guys, I'm still something.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is I'm reattaching the cord here too. I cut the cord from cable. Yeah, I got a cable box now.
Why?
It's just easier to watch things. The live TV, sports.
All right, that's fair.
If you watch sports, you can only watch sports with a delay on TV, on internet TV. So I just like to be up to date watching it because you fall behind.
How far behind is it?
It gets like 30 seconds to a minute behind.
Really?
Yeah, it can do that.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like somebody texting you, like, did you see that?
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Yes, that happens all the time. Yes.
Yeah, you gotta be on Do Not Disturb if you're watching a live thing.
Yeah, if you're actually watching it live, you want to watch the whole thing. So it's really what yeah. So yeah, the cord's back, but
cord is back, baby.
Let's go back into what we've been up to, Mike. What have you been watching? We haven't heard much. We watched Captain Marvel, but I'm sure there's more for us. But go on.
I don't think I watched anything.
Okay then. I will say I watched a couple things here. This is going to be interesting. I watched. I was clicking around on Amazon Prime, so I'll have a couple shows I watched. I watched the ABC Murders, the first episode of that, which has John Malkovich in it. It's a Poirot. Is it Poirot?
Poirot.
That's it. Poirot. The mysteries from him. The train one. I can't remember the train one. I saw it. Yeah, he's a famous detective that did
Agatha Christie.
Yes, Agatha. Yes, that's it. So I watched the first episode from this, and I'm like, they actually show you who the murderer is right away, and I'm like,
really?
Yeah, isn't it like in a mystery? Aren't you supposed to wonder as well? Like,
yeah, that's traditional. Yeah,
murder, not mystery.
Like I kept watching. I'm like, wait, this isn't the actual murderer. No, yeah, it is. Okay. Because you watch him do it, and you're like, okay, and he's taunting the lead detective Poirot. And you're like, okay, I guess this is the story. But I'm like, isn't a mystery supposed to be about figuring out who done it? Like, part of the whole draw. So
it's
I'm like,
not a mystery now. It's more of a how did it happen? Like,
no, you see how it happens.
There's no mystery at all. It's like this happened.
No, it's
spoiler
more,
alert.
Yeah, it's more about like an aging detective trying to figure out who's doing it. And I'm like, but the audience knows. And I'm like, this sucks. Like, I don't know why you do this. But so I watched that, and I ended up falling into a documentary. I guess a documentary called Nintendo Quest. It's on Amazon. It was a Canadian release. It's a very small like documentary movie somebody made. Like you can see, it's like more of an amateur kind of movie. But it was fun. It was like about a guy whose friend decides to go. He bet his friend that he couldn't collect all 678 Nintendo games that were actually released a cartridge. Not like the World Championships, because that wasn't actually released in stores. But like, yeah, but they had to get the rare ones, like stadium games and all those old ones, and he couldn't use the internet.
Ooh, that's
yeah. So that was
hard. I was gonna say, it was like the internet, like you can get anything on the internet.
Well, that's the thing, So it was actually fun. I really enjoyed watching. I watched the whole thing, sat down and watched that whole thing, and it was, except for the Canadian accents, it was that were thick in there. It was really interesting to watch them drive from Canada all the way down to Texas to find games. They used phones, connections. They called people. He tried to deal with people on the phone. Somebody backed out on the phone. It was just like, it got to be like, I don't
no deal.
He would like walk out of stores when he's like, is this the price or can you help me with this? And the guy's like, well, these are the prices. And he's like, all right. And he just walked out of the store. So it got pretty vicious later on because he has a budget too. He's supposed to keep to.
Did it say what it cost him in the end?
No.
Over 10,000, you think?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because of the ending. Yes. There's a cool thing that happens at the end that you're just like, yeah. So it was really interesting. I really enjoyed watching the chase.
Man, Nintendo though, like why would you do Nintendo? Like
it's because they had so many games. Like like even the common ones, it was tough to find some of the commons. So I didn't even know some of these things were rare too. I had a bunch of them, all the like rare stuff. I'm like, I think I still have them at my parents' house. I'm like, I should look into this stuff. because like Bonk's Revenge, I think is one, or yeah, and like there's a couple of them I think I have upstairs at my parents' house.
Check it out, bro.
Yeah, I gotta look. This is where it's like I know games and I know eBay, but I've not really looked at NES prices of games in a long time. So, but it was interesting. I would recommend for Nintendo fans to even like just like people that like kind of like that stuff, like nostalgia, collecting stuff. Yeah, because then I followed up watching a bunch of Toy Hunters, the old show that was on Travel Network, where the guy goes around pays tons of money for toys. So I just got into that, but yeah, that's what I watched. So Corey, what have you been up to?
Not too much other than Captain Marvel, obviously, and I mentioned I watched iZombie a little bit last week. Yes. I watched it some more, but it just goes off the rails at one point, and you're like,
CWFIs it all.
No, that's not even the problem. Problem is just like it's got this unique concept where like these like zombies are real. Nobody knows about them. They got this like underground thing going on, and
so like they made them like vampires.
Yeah, essentially, it's like vampires. Yep, but that kind of gets tilted a little bit, and then once that happens, it's like this is stupid. I don't really like this anymore because it's not unique. Like they're not. It's not cool. I don't know. It was just
not cool. Weird.
All right. Yeah. So that and yeah, that's about it. But I just have to if you're on Amazon Prime, Jim, and you got The Expanse, you have to watch that show because as being a sci-fi fan, like,
you know what? So you know what else I watched? The Order on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, that might be up your alley. It's called The Order. It's on Netflix. It's got a very Buffy vibe, but it's not. It's with a male lead, but it's with a very Buffy vibe, very much. Like
actually,
yeah.
I did.
Was that? I mean.
Kind of, not really. Though.
But this one is like I got that immediately in the show. It's about like magic, a school of magic. This guy, a college that he goes to, and like in the war against the werewolves kind of thing. Like they're at war, but it's all like behind the scenes of actual life. So it's very Buffy style, but werewolves, and magic. So which is weird. It was interesting. I only watched like one episode so far, but it got a very big Buffy vibe. But all right, Tony, what have you been watching?
Let's see. Captain Marvel. Had an in weekend with a lady friend, and we watched. She had never seen Inception, so I showed her that.
Oh, nice.
Because a couple weeks ago we had watched The Matrix, and that blew her mind a little bit. So I was like, "Oh, if that blew your mind."
The Matrix?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Wow. So then I was like, "This is gonna blow your mind," and like the first 30 minutes, she's like, "What? Like, what is even going on?" I was like, "Just watch."
Next question: has she seen Sixth Sense?
That's a good question. I don't know.
There's another one. See, that's another one.
Yeah, it'll be there. So that was fun. Although I think this is the first time I've seen it since The Dark Knight Rises came out. So it's just like the whole time these actors are on screen, I'm just like, oh man, who would have thought? Like, this guy went from this to Dark Knight Rises, and just like all I could remember was like that terrible death sequence. And then Tom Hardy saying, "For you, the people." It's like,
still, that's the best. I mean, in the theater, I went to my brother. I'm like, really? That's the best take they got of this death scene. That's the best. All right.
You're talking about Talia's death scene?
Yes. I'm like, really? That's the best they did?
Wait, did you hear that at all, Corey, or did you just hear that part about the death? Like that's
all Jim said was like that in the theater. That's the best take they got. So.
Yeah. So we watched that, and then the next day we watched Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, great!
Nice.
Which is just a fun classic, and it's really funny now seeing it in retrospect because it's like Scott Pilgrim, aka Michael Cera, fights an actor who plays Superman, the actor that plays Captain America, and the actor that plays Captain Marvel. So it's just like Scott Pilgrim is beating all these people.
That's right. Yeah. It all worked out in the end, didn't it?
Yep, it did. And it was really funny too, because back when Scott Pilgrim came out, the guy who plays Superman, I forget his
Brandon Routh.
Brandon Routh. That was Routh. Yeah.
It's like I didn't really know who he was, and like watching, I'm like, holy shit, that's Superman. I was like, oh, I didn't even know that at the time. It's really funny seeing him play like the vegan villain. I was like, but other than that, a lot of Overwatch Leo.
Mona Flower is going to be in DC movie now too. So
is she?
The chick who played her?
Yeah.
She's the Huntress, I think.
Oh, is she?
Cool. In the Harley Quinn movie.
Really like you. Nice. I like her. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's it. Cool.
All right. I think that's going to wrap up the MovieCast. Thanks for tuning in. Write us podcast@allygeek.net. Follow us on Twitter, AllYouCanGeek, and like us on Facebook. Also, hit that subscribe button if you're watching us here on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Spoiler cast for Captain Marvel going to come up tonight, and also look for our game casts. Thanks.